What is up, guys? It's me, John, and we're back for the Bass Gang for May the Bass Be With You Volume 4. They released Valhalla Calling today, which is a song I have an interesting history with. The original song, it's good. It's cool. It's a Viking war anthem. What more do you want? Um, it's not my favorite. It's cool, but it's kind of bland, I guess. You could say musically. I heard Voice Play's version. That is one of my all-time favorite Voice Play songs, period, and my favorite rendition of the song. But I've heard a lot of them, and I've heard a lot of variety in covers of Valhalla Calling. So I'm interested to see what the Bass Gang does with it. Now, the tradition for the May the Bass Be With You albums has been for each member of the Bass Gang to arrange one song. So I'm also going to try to guess who did what arrangement. I haven't seen the future ones yet. I have seen because I'm on Patreon. Go subscribe to their Patreon. But I haven't seen who has done which arrangement. So we're going to try to guess that as I watch these videos and listen to the arrangement. So let's get started. All right, here we are. Valhalla Calling featuring the Big Brev. Mr. Brev, let's get into it.
Ships on vigor, the waves are skimming. Barren summits delivered in plain. Each horizon is a new beginning. Rise and
So we're in B minor. Incidentally, the same key that voice plays in for their arrangement, but I won't compare too much, I promise. So we start with Brev just singing the melody. Pretty basic, nothing too fancy. And then I liked at one point we had, let's see, the Peter and Malron part.
summits delivered in plain. Each horizon is a new beginning.
So it sounds like Marwan's doing the melody and Peter's doing the harmony. So they're split at first, but then they come back into unison for the last couple of notes there. That sounds really cool.
Rise and
Cool. Got an electric guitar going. So strength from a cappella. Let's get into it. We have B minor, as I said before, not B major. But when we hold that chord, it is a 4 chord E minor. Or sorry, E major, which is kind of funky to put in B minor. But then we have that open fifth interval, the B and F sharp from B minor above it, which creates a really interesting clash and almost gives it a major flair for a second while our electric guitar comes in.
Far from the fjords and the ice-cold currents, ravens soar over new frontiers. Songs and sagas of a faded terror.
What is that? So he's singing that in the same octave that he was before. Is there? But he's putting some kind of effect on his voice. It might be like some kind of throat bass that you do that with, like the false fold subharmonic that Jonathan Young used in Centuries back in Volume 2 to create the effect of like singing in 2 octaves at once, I guess, because you can hear both octaves in there, the second and the third octave.
Soar over new frontiers. Songs and sagas of a faded terror. Fields and speed. Vows of favor or the thrill of plunder. Pull together for the clan and kin.
So in this section, I'm sorry, I like to pause a lot and talk about the arrangement. I meant to say that in the beginning. If you don't like to hear me pause a lot, if you want to just want to listen to the song all the way through, go listen to it and then come back here because I really like to dig deep into the way these songs are arranged. But anyway, Marwan is singing the melody in this part, and Brev is doing something interesting. He's doing a harmony that kind of rests on the low B, but then touches the low A, which is the 7th scale degree, and that actually comes from a version he did previously with Eric Holloway and the original artist of Valhalla Calling, Miracle of Sound. They did a trio version together, and I think it was Eric Holloway that was doing that part though, like the underlying harmony part that kind of just hung on that low B. So interesting choice to put that in here. So then we switch to Peter doing, it sounds like Peter doing the melody and Bobby doing that low part, just like Marwan and Brev were doing in the last section. I also like the kind of drum beat that's going on here. It's very interesting that we have these metal instruments, the electric guitar and the drum set in the song, because that's a look we haven't seen on the bass gang before, but it looks pretty damn good if you ask me.
The echoes of eternity. Valhalla calling me.
So the first time we do that, I've referred to that before as the calling motif. Excuse me, because melodically it kind of sounds like Valhalla calling. I think that line, using the open fifth interval, represents the idea of Valhalla calling really well because it sounds like a distant call. And if you remember a voice plays version, that's a lot like what Caesar did, and the one section after like the crazy rap part that they did, the with like the reverb echoing off into the void. Anyway, when we do this calling motif, as I rabbit trailed a bit. The first time we do it, we have underlying as the chord progression, and then we cut out so Brev can do the response line.
Valhalla calling me.
And then we do the same thing again, but I want to listen to that. Yeah, so we use the minor six and then the five, and then somebody drops it down to a B1. Very cool to include under Peter's response line there.
To pluck the strings of destiny. Valhalla calling me. Say
So there's some interesting overtone stuff happening there. That is a B0 subharmonic, which very, very few people have ever done before. Jeff Costellucci has done one. Marwan has done one. I don't know if Bobby has recorded one before. He probably has, and I just don't know about it. But for some reason, it kind of sounds like an F sharp one. I don't know why that is. It is a B0 subharmonic though, and that's very impressive.
Valhalla calling. Sails of
Yeah, it's very interesting because you have the when you get down to notes that low, like the vibration of it is like so spread apart. You can hear the individual like popping of the vibrations. I don't know, but something like in between there, it kind of sounds like an F sharp. And you can like study overtone sequences and why that is, and why you can sometimes hear different notes stacked into other notes. But interesting stuff.
calling. Sails are swaying on the crimson river's love.
Yeah, sorry for pausing a lot, but I like the way we cut out the drums and the guitar, so Bobby has full attention when we do that part, and then we slowly build back into it.
But in glory in the fighting fields, shields are shattered into splintered timbers, iron and steel. Fires are rising in the
So as we build back up, we have a bass guitar. It sounds like a boom, boom on the root. So you can just get that pulsing beat to build back into it. And then we have the drums kicking back in. Also, it was very interesting that the last line there, I went from a 4 to a 5. I'm going to play that back.
timbers, iron and steel.
Yeah, iron and steel. Yeah, I switched to E minor for some reason. B minor. So we went still. Brev did that kind of in that belting tone up to the F sharp 4. Interesting, because I remember earlier in the piece, Tommy used the 4 to create that unique tone in the intro that I talked about before. So interesting use of the 4 again. It seems like Tommy is really enjoying hanging on these suspense. I'm just assuming this is a Tommy arrangement, because he had that intro part there at the beginning. It seems like a very Tommy thing to do to have these electronic instruments introduced, the electric guitar and the heavy metal drum set. It's not Tommy, it's probably Peter, because I know that Peter likes to introduce other styles of music in the bass gang stuff, like he did with some like samples and like EDM stuff. But I'm pretty sure it's Tommy.
Iron and steel, fires are rising and the bells are ringing. Glory, take us into Odin's halls. Golden glimmer and the sound of singing. Asgard calls. The echoes of eternity.
So hold tight. Oh, so that note that Brev was kind of holding in that operatic yell kind of like belt tone, that big projected belt, was an F sharp, which in the key of B minor that we were just in is the fifth, which creates that one interval that we talked about before. But when we're in E minor, that F sharp is the second scale degree, which played against the root holds a lot of suspense. So if you were to sing a descending line in E minor, you go, the F sharp would hold a lot of weight because it resolved to the root. So that's an interesting note because in both B minor and E minor, it is a note that's used for some kind of suspense because in both keys you want it to resolve to the root. So the fact that it resolves to a different root, giving us the key change into E minor, is so freaking cool. Also, yes, just more evidence that this is a Tommy arrangement because this is just stuff that Tommy would do.
The echoes of eternity. Valhalla calling me. The screams of destiny.
The video is getting wicked here with them morphing into each other. I love the five of them panned across the screen like this.
Valhalla calling me. Valhalla calling me.
This is an E5 in a middle yell, a middle screen. That's wild, bro. And he has so much control and power over that. It's gotta be Tommy, dude. You there? I won't sing very much because I'm still sick, but those falsetto notes that are like descending in that arpeggio, this has to be Tommy, dude. I'm to assume that's all four of them doing an E1 subharmonic or E1 and some kind of extension, but it's so funny to hear the E5 and then down to the E1. So earlier in the piece, we cut out all the drums and instruments and stuff when Bobby hit the B0. Now we do the same thing when Brev hits the high E. And then as we build back into this bridge section, the electric guitar starts doing the runs a Trans-Siberian Orchestra a little bit, the way they like to do their builds. But anyway, we get it's the same kind of deal where we cut everything out and then build back into it when we want to give special attention to something that's happening in the vocals.
Wind and the waves will carry me. Wind and the waves will set me free. Wind and the waves will.
So I really like the idea of having the line be the call and then a guitar solo being the response. So we get this exchange between call and response during the call. We're just on an E, but I really like how during the response we change it a bit so it goes to the 3 and then the 4. I just found it cool the way they're mixing it up.
Carry me. Wind and waves will set me free.
And the way we go offbeat there a little bit, I can't tell if it's the vocals or the instrumentals that are going offbeat into like a hemiola, kind of like playing with your brain with tempo and meter and stuff. But that is really cool as well.
Wind and waves will carry me. Wind and
Yeah, so the guitar is doing some kind of like weird triplet thing, but it's like put off beat a little bit. I can't really tell in what way, but it kind of tricks you into thinking that the vocals are off time. But it adds such a level of coolness to it that is unprecedented.
The echoes of eternity.
If you listen to the background there, somebody sounds like a Tommy or a Marlon. It's like building a B4.
The echoes of eternity. Oh, Valhalla calling me.
Oh man, the harmonies are crazy. We had everybody, Valhalla calling me. We land on the root and then we take it up an octave. But Brev, instead of going up to the E in the upper octave, goes to a D before it resolves. It's just an interesting choice that like keeps your brain guessing and builds some more suspension.
Valhalla calling me. Valhalla calling
The end, right?
Thank you guys so
The end. I had told you it was time. Let's listen to this outro again. Let me try to pick out what I was going to talk about because I got distracted by how crazy that D0 was at the end.
Valhalla calling me. Valhalla calling
So it's just like in the beginning. We were in B minor, but then we borrowed the E chord, which is in this case the major four. Now we're in E minor, and as we build into the final chord, we have what is commonplace for the song with the minor six, minor seven. But instead of resolving to the root like you're once at two, we go to the four again. Maybe major or major four, like we did before. Otherwise, it's a four chord. So we land on the A, which is super weird. Or is it? It might be a dominant chord. Yeah, so it is the four. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, there's some wacky stuff going on harmonically there. I was gonna have trouble getting it out, but we end on a dominant chord either way, which is a really interesting choice. And again, with like the big Rolando with the big hits on every on the like the halftime beats and on every half note, building into that big final chord with Brev doing that B0, which I just said earlier when Bob did it. Very few people can do that. It's crazy, bro. And again, I think Brev was such a good choice to have on for this song because he has that kind of like big Viking voice, and aesthetically, this song is amazing. Let me go see and make sure it actually is Tommy. I think it is because of the arrangement and because he's doing the outro. But let me check. Yes, arrangement by Tommy P. Video by Marwan. Props to him. Instrumental by somebody whose name I won't even guess how to pronounce. Props to this individual who created the instrumentals with the drum set and the electric guitar and bass and stuff. And props to Miracle of Sound for the original song, who I'm glad they credited in the credits for this video. But anyway, excellent work by Tommy and the Bass Gang. I'm super excited to see what else is coming for May the Bass Be With You Volume 4. And I'm excited to see you guys then. So I'll see you when I do. Have a good day and peace out.